is Murray Monster with a special report. Did you know you're special? It's true. Each and every one of us is special in our own way. Come on, let's find out what makes people special. Hi, what's your name?
Scarlet.
Scarlet, I have a question. What makes you special?
Well, I can count to 10 in Mandarin Chinese.
You can count to 10 in Mandarin?
Yeah?
May I see that?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
1、2、3、4、5、6、7、8、9、10。
Whoa! Counting to 10 in Mandarin is so special. Now, over to my special friend, Ovejita.
Especial.
That's right, Ovejita. Especial is the Spanish word for special. Now, let's see more about what makes people special. Hey, what are your names?
Sia.
Hi, Sia, and what's your name?
Veer.
Sia and Veer. What makes you guys special? Sia, what makes you special?
Well, I'm an animal lover, and Happy is my middle name.
Happy is your middle name, and you love animals. Super special. Hey, Veer, what makes you special?
I have a very special dog, and I'm kind.
You are kind and you have a special dog. Totally special. Wait a minute. This just in. Something special is happening right now. Let's go live. You know, being special makes you feel good about yourself. Being special makes you feel proud. Let's hear some more about what makes people feel special. Hi, what's your name?
Ilana.
Hi, Ilana. Ilana, what makes you special?
I dance.
You like to dance?
Yeah.
What kind of dancing do you do?
Hip hop.
Whoa! Hip-hop dancing! That's super special! Now, let's go to Ovejita.
Especial.
Hold on. Whoa, it seems special things are happening all over the place. We better check it out. Whoa! So many special people, including you, special friend. This is Murray Monster saying, stay special, Sesame Street.
Hello, dear Twain families and River Rafters. This is Mrs. Gonzalez, your principal. I know that many of you, like our staff and I, miss being together in person and attending our PTA family events. Luckily for us, our amazing Twain PTA continues to stay strong and plans educational family nights like today. Every month, we will have a combination of different topics, and we hope you can join us. So sit back, relax, and show us yours by having an outstanding attitude, being respectful and safe during Zoom. Hola, queridas familias de Mark Twain y balseros del río. Soy la directora Mrs. González. Sé que muchos de ustedes, como nuestro personal y yo, extrañamos estar juntos en persona y asistir a los eventos familiares de PTA. Afortunadamente para nosotros, nuestro increíble PTA de Twain sigue siendo fuerte y planea noches familiares educativas como hoy. Cada mes tendremos una combinación de diferentes temas y esperamos que puedan acompañarnos. Así que siéntense, relájense y muéstrenos yours, teniendo una actitud excepcional, respetuosa y segura durante el Zoom. Gracias. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Gonzalez. Before we get started, please note that tonight's program is available in both English and Spanish. Mr. Reyes, would you like to explain in Spanish how to join the Spanish language channel?
Con mucho gusto. Buenas noches y bienvenidos a nuestra noche familiar educativa. Mi nombre es José Martín Reyes, soy intérprete y bueno, si van ustedes a la parte baja de su pantalla, verán ustedes un icono con un mundo o un globo terráqueo cuadriculado o a rayitas en cuadros. Si ustedes hacen clic o pulsan en ese icono, Les guiará o les llevará a un menú donde pueden elegir el idioma que desean escuchar. Obviamente elegirán el español y una vez que elijan el español, se les llevará a un canal donde escucharán la voz de mi persona, su servidor, interpretándoles todo lo que aquí se presenta en inglés, lo escucharán en español.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes, and good evening, River Rafters. I'm delighted to be here with you. Tonight's program, celebrating National Special Education Month, is sponsored by your PTA. My name is Crystal Mosler, and I serve as your PTA Executive Vice President and Head of Family Engagement this year. As just mentioned, tonight's program is being presented in English and Spanish. You should see the interpretation icon at the bottom of your screen that looks like a little globe, and you can click on that to select the English or Spanish channel. Unfortunately, if you are using your school-issued Chromebook or any Chromebook, you might not be able to utilize this feature. At any time, you can use the Q&A box to ask or answer our presenters' questions, or use the chat box to engage with all attendees. Tonight's program is being recorded, however, all presenters will be on camera. Okay, now that we have covered housekeeping, I'd like to see how many of you have attended a PTA family night this school year. You should see a poll pop up on the screen. So please submit your answer. All right, thank you for your responses. It looks like 60% of you have attended a family night. So I think many of you probably know what to expect. For those of you that don't, I will let you know that each month the PTA hosts a family night to share insight, personal stories from our community, book readings, and offer engaging discussion about a featured topic. If you'd like to share your story, read a book, or volunteer to assist in planning these monthly events, please send me a note in the chat box tonight. I hope that the Sesame Street video you saw earlier got you thinking about what makes you special. We're going to spend the next hour together exploring being special and learning about special education. But before we do that, I'd like to introduce you to this short video about a really special teacher named Mr. Jensen.
I have a lot of memories from when I was a child. One that's always stuck out to me though was when I was about 10 years old and I was in school and I struggled. And I didn't struggle with English, math, or science. I struggled holding still. And I would try to listen and focus and process ideas, but I couldn't help myself. And to be honest, I would sit there and then I would just start tapping. And the students in the class would look at me and they'd say, "Hey, stop tapping." A lot of the time, I didn't even realize I was doing it. And then eventually even the teachers got after me and they would yell at me and they'd say, "Clint, you have to stop tapping." It got so bad that I got sent to the principal's office for tapping. And he said to me, "Okay, maybe when you go back to class, just try sitting on your hands." And so I did. I went back to class, and when I felt myself starting to tap, I did this. I sat on my hands. And that worked for about 5 seconds. One time I was tapping in class, and my teacher, Mr. Jensen, he looked at me and he yelled. And he said, "Clint, stay after class." And I thought to myself, this is it. I am done. Now, I've always been the type of person that believes that a single moment in time can change a person's life. And this was one of those moments for me. And I will never forget it. And so I was sitting there with Mr. Jensen and an empty classroom. And he walked past me and he sat next to his desk and he said, "Clint, come here. I want to talk to you." And as he looked me right in the eye, he said, "Now, I need you to know something. You're not in trouble. But I do have just one question that I have to ask you." And he asked, he said, "Have you ever thought about playing the drums?" And in that moment, Mr. Jensen, he leaned back and he opened the top drawer of his desk. And he reached in and he pulled out my very first pair of drumsticks. And he held them in his hands and he looked at me and he said, "Hey, Clint, you're not a problem. think you're a drummer. From that moment on, I've never put those sticks down. I've toured, recorded, and played drums all over the world. My whole college education was paid for with drumsticks in my hand. Just because of a single moment in time when somebody believed in me, and he saw something in me that I didn't even see within myself. And from that moment, I learned that there's a difference between being the best in the world and being the best for the world.
I hope that you enjoy that video as much as I do. I must have watched it a dozen times in preparing for tonight, and it still gets me totally choked up. I think we've probably all had a teacher like Mr. Jensen, and it really shows the passion and compassion that teachers have for their students. And I'd like to take a moment, a very special moment, to thank all of the River Rafter teachers, administrators, and staff that make a difference in our everyday. Do you have a story like this to share? Would you like to share it with us? Do you have a teacher that made you feel special? Go ahead and put it in the chat box if you do. Now let's hear a personal story from our community and learn a little bit more about special education. Last Wednesday, December 2nd, was National Special Education Day and commemorated the anniversary of the nation's first federal special education law. The Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA, signed into law 45 years ago in 1975, ensures that students with a disability are provided with a free, appropriate public education that is tailored to their individual needs. It's important to note, special needs take a variety of forms and can range from developmental disabilities, learning disabilities, health conditions, or even giftedness. Now I'd like to introduce Diana Gonzalez, a Lawndale parent who will share her family's story with us tonight.
Hi there, I'm Diana Gonzalez and I'm the mother of a child with autism. My family consists of 4 people: my husband Daniel, my 2 boys Daniel and Ethan, and myself. Daniel is 13 years old and Ethan is 7 years old. We've lived in Lawndale for over 10 years and both of my children have gone through Lawndale School District. Danny was, I would say, a typically developing child up until like 2.5 years old. We noticed a regression in his speech. There were certain fixation for things, repetitive movements and things like that got our attention. You know, certain obsessions with objects, trains and things like that. We knew that something was different, but we couldn't really tell what it was. I brought up my concerns to his pediatrician. I explained to him that Danny wasn't really learning any new words, that he seemed a little hyperactive and just very little eye contact. He wouldn't really respond to his name at times, so I don't know whether he was ignoring me or just, you know, if he had a hearing issue. But right away the pediatrician referred me over to Regional Center. They performed a psychological evaluation, and this is pretty much where everything began. I was frustrated at the whole situation in the beginning because he was considered too young to be evaluated at the time. So the first diagnosis came back as a language receptive expressive language disorder. So at the time it was just like a speech disorder. And it wasn't until he turned 4, I want to say, that 2 separate schools were like, hey, something is not quite right here. And they, you know, put out a referral. So then I had to go again a second time to Regional Center and advocate and say, hey, this is not okay. I already have 2 different schools noticing things, you know, about my child. So again, for the second time, I went back to Regional Center and decided to, you know, demand another assessment. There were a few situations where not only family members, but maybe like other people in our social network, you know, they would make comments like, hey, like, your son is so hyperactive, like, what's wrong with your son? He tantrums a lot of those kind of comments. So And it's very difficult because autism is very often misunderstood. It's very easy for someone in the community or, you know, just to kind of like point the finger like, hey, you know, you're a bad parent, like what's going on? Your child's acting up, you should be doing something. Why is your child screaming his, you know, top of his lungs? You know, why is he throwing things, like, you know? So a lot of times people make you feel guilty, you know, for those behaviors, but they really don't know what you go through. When we received the official diagnosis, it was very overwhelming. Like, it's undescribable. There's this I don't know, sense of helplessness, like what happened, why, all these questions, you know, just stirring up in your head. It was very painful. Yeah, very painful, very sad. The way I describe autism is just a different way of thinking, different brain chemistry, you know, as it's the case with my son, outside the box thinker. Everybody's brain works differently, and this is how he is. I think it's important for people to ask questions rather than to assume or judge. I don't get offended if, you know, if someone randomly asks me about my child or why he does, you know, or why he has certain behaviors. Actually, I enjoy talking about it because I feel that it brings awareness to others, and early intervention is the key. So if I see someone that, you know, might be struggling with certain things, I feel like it's like my moral duty, like, hey, I can share this with them and maybe it could help someone, you know. I started working as an instructional assistant because, number one, I enjoy being around children. I love children. But most importantly, to help other children in the same situation as my child. We received a lot of help from the ABA therapies. They provided all these resources for us and techniques of how to, you know, how to help Danny at home. One of the things that I found most useful was getting him out of his comfort zone. Things as simple as ordering food or speaking in public, you know. So one day, I remember he wanted to go and get a Happy Meal, and he's like, you have to order for me. And I said, no, I'm not gonna order for you because I'm not gonna be there all the time to help you. So if you wanna, you know, get a Happy Meal, you're gonna have to start using your words. And so the therapist had this bright idea of having Danny, you know, right in the back seat and order through the drive-through window at McDonald's. We would pull up into the drive-through and Danny would order his Happy Meal or whatnot, and you know, that was like the task of the day. And then the next day we would like step it up a notch, and you know, we would have to go into the restaurant, and he would oftentimes carry a little index card with the most frequently asked questions. The people in the community, and I know McDonald's, they were very understanding. They can pick up, you know, they would help him out, and they would even go as far as asking him to repeat himself or use his voice. And it was a nice experience, just equipping him with the resources to advocate for himself more than anything. Yeah, there's a lot of challenges parenting a child with special needs. A lot of times they require very structured routines, and sometimes, you know, if things don't go as planned, you know, they don't take it very well. Or many times you have people coming into your house, invading your privacy, you know, therapists, or, you know, when he was younger, we had therapists like living with us almost around the clock. So it's a little too much to take in. You have to be consistent, very consistent with like rules and boundaries, especially with special needs, because they benefit a lot from that structure and discipline, and you know, anything can throw it off balance. So the rewards of parenting a child with special needs is that you develop qualities that I don't think you had. I can't put it into words. You know, you become a better person, more empathetic towards others. So one of my biggest fears is seeing my child suffer or being discriminated or put down because of his disability. Autism is not something that it's not apparent, at times. And so bullying is one of the things that, concerns me. I wouldn't want my child to be bullied or discriminated for who he is. I calm my fears by taking a day at a time, and focusing on the good things, the positive things, the strengths, rather than the weakness. Find support, and whether it's church or friends or our community. Not being too harsh on myself, I guess. What I would tell a parent, if they're at the start of their journey, is it may seem a little bit difficult to cope with the new reality, but don't lose hope. If you feel something is not right, always ask for help. Look for help. There's a lot of resources available. We tell him he can do everything. We are so proud of him. He's made it to the honor roll for like 3 years in a row now, I believe. And these are huge accomplishments, In a nutshell, celebrate their successes to the max and be encouraging, be supportive, and just be there. He has always been interested in how things work, the mechanic of things, putting things together, like engineering and stuff like that. And from a very young age, he would build marble runs across the house using household items, books and sticks and anything you can think of. He loved the sound of bells. It was so soothing for him. And from just a very young age, he would, use my glasses or anything he could get his hands on to like make instruments out of. So we noticed, those interests. And one of the advices that therapists give us was, just foster his talents, like give him the things that he likes to do and build on that. So we tried doing that, and we bought him, my husband bought him a guitar for his 11th birthday. And he's such a smart kid. He would go onto YouTube and look up videos of his favorite artist, and just by ear, he would play the tune. And he started playing the ukulele, and then he joined the music class at Jane Addams, and he had a blast. He loved playing guitar, and this is where everything kind of like picked up. He started playing guitar on a daily basis, piano, and he just, he just took off from there. He plays the guitar so beautifully, and he has a talent, and he has a God-given gift for music. That's his passion. That's what he likes, and that's what we hope he can pursue in the future. What I would like people to know about special needs or disability is that it's not a negative label per se. It tends to have a negative connotation, but it's not what defines your child. There's a lot of super abilities that these children have, and people often focus on the negative aspect of it. So we just have to focus on the positive things and their strengths, their talents, and just bring out the best in them.
Wow, I'm moved again, almost speechless. Thank you to the Gonzalez family for sharing such an inspiring story. Danny sounds like an amazing kid with a very bright future as either a musician and/or an engineer. And I think the advice in taking everything a day at a time and fostering your child's interests and talents is great advice for all parents. What takeaways do you have after hearing Danny's story? I bet you might have a few questions about how special education works after this story. In fact, you can type them into the Q&A box now, or you can sit back and listen to Sharon Asman Lawndale's Director of Special Education, who's going to share a little bit more information about special education services.
Good evening, Twain PTA. Thank you so much for having me join you this evening to raise awareness on special education. We truly all are special. I'm Sharon Asman, the Director of Special Education for Lawndale School District. I've had the pleasure of supporting Lawndale students and families for the last 3 years in this capacity, and prior to that as a program specialist for the Southwest SELPA, also helping support our Lawndale School District. This brief video from children with disabilities gives an opportunity to hear from their perspective what it is that they want from their education. So take a few minutes with me to listen to this video.
Dear teacher, I know it doesn't always seem like it, but I really do want to listen and learn.
It's just my brain is kind of different. So this is what I'd like you to know about me. I have to move, or I really can't pay attention.
Even though I'm not looking at you, I can still listen to what you're saying.
If you tell me, sit up straight, now I have to use all of my brain to do just that.
It makes me feel sad when you tell me to try harder, even though I've already tried as hard as I can.
I actually listen better when I'm rocking in my chair. When you give me a bunch of directions, I start to think, I will never remember all of this. Sometimes my mom or dad ends up doing all of my homework. So here's how you could maybe help. Let me get up and move while I'm learning.
Let me look wherever I want when you talk to me.
Let me rock or slouch in my chair.
No matter what, please don't take away my recess. Give me help I could do all by myself. Make directions very short.
Just ask me, what does your brain need right now?
And one more thing. My brain might be different than yours, but it's still amazing.
Sincerely, your student.
Your student.
Your student. Your student.
Thank you for taking a moment to hear from our children. Ultimately, those are the perspectives that we take with us when we look to discover the best ways to support our students. So special education is what's called a broad term used to describe specially designed or specialized academic instruction. And it meets those very unique needs of a child who has a disability. It's provided at no cost to parents. As a prerequisite to eligibility, students must need these services. And I can't emphasize enough that these are services that cannot be provided with modification of the regular school program. In other words, our goal is to support students in general education. And students are referred to special education only after the resources in the general education, regular education program have been considered and have been appropriately utilized. Ultimately, our goal is always to support our students in general education to the greatest extent possible. Thank you very much for the opportunity to share some information with you this evening. Ultimately, we are all a team working together to the betterment of our students, and I appreciate your time this evening. Thank you so much and take care.
Thank you, Ms. Asman. If you still have questions, feel free to type them in the Q&A box. You may do so anonymously if you wish. Ms. Asman will be here for the live Q&A discussion right after our next guest. You can also find a more in-depth presentation of Lawndale services by Ms. Asman on the Twain PTA's private Facebook group, or you may use the chat box tonight to request to receive it. Now I'd like to turn over the Zoom stage to our last guest of the evening, Mark Twain's school psychologist, Stella Day, or as some of you may know her, Miss Stella, who'll be reading the book, What Are Your Superpowers by Margaret Vincent.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me. What are your superpowers? Children at work, children at play use superpowers every day. I have a four-legged friend who keeps me calm. I'm always successful when Mo comes along. I follow pictures on schedules because I can't ask. Icons make sense and keep me on task. I have super speed on wheels to zip down the hall. My driving skills help me feel 10 feet tall. I can remember numbers and facts that I read. Ask me some questions if ever in need. I have laser vision. At every chance, I notice tiny details in a single glance. I can speak a language without making a sound. My hands sign the words and never let me down. I have supersonic ears and hear whispers all day. Enter my space quietly so we can play. I love to sing and dance when alone or with friends. I always have energy when the chorus ends. I have super taste from my tongue to my tummy. Let's get the blender and make something yummy. I can help tell a story up on stage. Acting gives me a chance to not act my age. I have hands that guide and use a cane. I read books by touch, and that's my game. I can draw and paint just what I see. A growing artist is shining in me. I have an emotional, caring heart. I can sense when your feelings are wiggling apart. I have super balance when trotting through trees. Riding on Tonka helps me feel free. I have magic hands tossing all types of balls. If you need to practice, just give me a call. This story is ending. Imagine all the things you do. What are your superpowers? What makes you you? The end.
Thank you, Miss Stella. Okay, everyone, let's answer that question. So all of you out there in the audience tonight, please share in the chat box. What makes you, you? What makes you special? Before we get all of your responses in, I wanted to share something that was in the chat box, if you haven't seen it yet, from Juan Santos. He said one of the terms that has been used before around special needs is don't diss the ability. And he says that he's excited that we are offering this opportunity for the community tonight. So thank you, Mr. Santos, and we're excited to be offering this opportunity as well. And thanks for all of those who've participated. Now, going back to our question, what makes you you? What makes you special? I know a few of the superpowers that were mentioned in the book definitely explain me too. I always notice details upon the first glance, and I remember them. My kids and my family members would tell you I have supersonic ears. And I think that I could add, patience and kindness are superpowers that I also have. How about you, Miss Stella?
Yeah, so from the book, I really resonated with having an emotional and caring heart. But some of my other superpowers are having a super sense of smell and also being a very big dreamer.
Well, it's funny that you said super sense of smell, Miss Stella, because right before we got on tonight, we were all joking how you and Miss Jones are often mistaken for each other. And I see that Miss Jones just added that her superpower is a sense of smell. Maybe you are the same people.
Maybe we are twins.
I also see that Quentin says that he has a superpower. Oh, he says he's special because he likes being himself. That is very important.
I also see that Chase says he is super fast at running and sliding. Very cool.
And Donovan says he's fast, which helps him while playing soccer. Maybe Donovan and Chase should play together. See who's fastest. I haven't seen any other questions come in. This would be the time if anyone has any questions for any of our panelists. Miss Asman is here tonight with us. Obviously, Miss Stella. If anyone had any questions, I'd like to invite all of our panelists to join us. Oh, but now it's coming in. Let's see if I can keep up. Where are, okay. Oh, Miss Asman, do you want to share your superpower live? I'll give her a chance.
Absolutely.
Oh, here she comes. There she is.
Here I am. I share that same superpower of absolutely super hearing. As a former teacher, I could hear everything in my classroom, and my children at home can't get away with anything. So I've definitely got that super sense of hearing going on too.
And I see here that Ophelia says her superpower is being very particular. I kind of have that one too. And guess what? It pans out well in life to be very particular.
Raven says he's special because he does karate and piano. Very cool.
I see that Diana's joined us. Do you want to share any of your personal superpowers, Diana?
Hi, good evening all. Yeah, I think one of my superpowers would be patience. It's not an easy power, but it's something that you kind of develop. And also, I love giving back to my community, and whenever there's an opportunity to share with others, whether it's a church or just around the community itself, I love giving back.
That's a wonderful superpower. I see here that Lucy has shared that her special power is dancing. Great job, Lucy. And it looks like from Juan, the superpower is the ability to speak in complete sentences. He has a speech impediment and stutter, but thank you to the speech therapist, she taught me to speak slowly and breathe. That's fantastic, Juan. That's really great. Thank you for sharing that.
Sagan loves to learn dances from many cultures and countries. And Aslan's superpower is jumping and running and a big heart.
And her twin sister Aurelia's superpower is a sense of smell. A lot going on with that sense of smell superpower. I don't know if I would like to have that one. I guess I'm kind of glad. I definitely have the in-tune hearing, but my sense of smell isn't as strong. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing with some smells. Okay, from Rebecca, I get very emotional and strongly feel emotions of other people myself. It can be distracting and bothersome, but it is also a superpower because it helps me help others. I agree. Being an empath is can be very distracting and sometimes draining, but you definitely make a difference in the world when you have that superpower.
And Matthew says his superpower is sense of smell also. He can smell things from far away.
My, oh my, I think after tonight, I think the scientists should look into what creates a super sense of smell as a superpower, because it is clearly very common. All right, well, thank you so much, everyone, for sharing what makes you special. I guess it's time to wrap up for tonight. At this time, we'll do a drawing for one lucky attendee to win a copy of the book that Miss Stella read, What Are Your Superpowers, and some Twain spiritware. So I'm going to ask Michael to pull up our spinner wheel and spin the wheel. Congratulations, Gretchen Jansen. We'll be in touch to get you your prize. A couple more people got in their superpowers. I just want to make sure that they are mentioned. And we have from Eitzel, the superpower is being bilingual. That's a superpower I definitely wish I had. And from Sandra, the superpower of staying warm when it's cold out. Another superpower I wish I had. I'd love to steal that from you. Thank you all so much for being here tonight. And thank you to all of our presenters this evening. And a very, very special thank you to Jessica Delfino Funston and V. Brooks for filming and editing the Family Night interviews that you saw tonight and in October. Have a wonderful winter break, everyone. We hope to see you at our next Family Night on Tuesday, January 26th. But before you click off, we have one more special treat for you. It's time to get up and dance.
Kindness is a muscle, work it out, gotta hustle, we kids will show you the way, gotta flex it every day. Kindness is a muscle, work it out, gotta hustle, we kids will show you the way, gotta flex it every day. Thump, your heart will grow every time your kindness shows. Beat, your heart gets strong when you sing a kindness song. Glow ups if you want me, don't think it goes unseen. We act the way you do, so be kind every day too. Kindness is a muscle, work it out, gotta hustle. We kids will show you the way, gotta flex it every day. Kindness is a muscle, work it out, gotta hustle. We kids will show you the way, gotta flex it every day. Kindness is a muscle, we already know. And like a muscle, you can make it grow by being kind even when we're mad and helping others when they're sad. It's easy, it's easy, it's how we're made. We don't know hate, we don't throw shade. If someone's different, it's the greatest thing, cause being different makes us sing. Thump, 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 your heart knows what's right. Beat, 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 kindness gives us a mind. Grown-ups follow our lead, some love is all you need. It's easy, watch our moves and dance to our kindness grooves. Kindness is a muscle, work it out, gotta hustle. We kids will show you the way, gotta flex it every day. Kindness is a muscle, work it out, gotta hustle. We kids will show you the way, gotta flex it every day. I'll break it down one more time for you, because I got more kindness rhymes to do. There's a couple more things to keep in mind, and so many reasons for being kind. It's all about exercise. We don't want awards or a prize. It's acting how we should, because being kind feels good. Kindness is a muscle, work it out, gotta hustle. We kids will show you the way, gotta flex it every day. Kindness is a muscle, work it out, gotta hustle. We kids will show you the way, gotta flex it every day. Gotta flex it every day.
For more kindness videos, subscribe to Sprout's YouTube channel.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Again, have a great night.